Welcome back to another episode of Junk Whip Jr. Got a little short one for you today. Not going to be doing any installs because I already did it. It was a little bit of a cumbersome install in this truck, but one of the things that's been happening to me on the greatest truck of all times right here behind me, the U.S. Air Force square body crew cab. The truck runs on premium gas with it being a supercharger, and the quality of gas I've just found has been getting worse and worse and worse, and it's driving me crazy. You'll just be driving down the road and all of a sudden the truck just goes bah, 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 just skipping and missing, and it's not the engine. The engine's perfect, spark plugs, everything's good in it, but it's the fuel. And I had a feeling that it was water, so when I had the previous fuel filter on this truck and I was servicing the filter, you know, putting a new cartridge in it, when I pulled the old one out, there were some drops of water on it. So I knew that when I saw those drops of water that we've got water in the gas, and guess what? Water doesn't burn. Might extend your fuel mileage a little bit, might clean out the inside of your engine some, but we don't want water in the fuel system. Now the only kicker is with the water content in the gas, I don't have a way to get it out of the gas before it goes into the tank. So eventually, years down the road, maybe it's going to take its toll on the sending units in the fuel tank. Now the fuel tanks are new, so I'm not worried about them rusting anytime soon, and if they did, worst case scenario, they're like $100 a piece. I could get a new tank, but that's not the point of what we're doing here. We're trying to keep the water out of the engine. So what we've done, show you what we've got here. I ordered a Earl's part number 2077ERL. Now that's a billet aluminum single remote filter mount, and ideally what that would be used on is a small block Ford oil filter. It's a 3/4 thread, and you would usually use it for an oil filter, but I wanted to use it for a fuel filter. Well, why did I use that one? Well, I wanted it so that it could be a simple spin-on filter that I could get anywhere. And also that Earl's unit, it has O-ring sealed thread and fittings in it. I'd rather have that than pipe thread. I'm weird about that kind of stuff. I just didn't want to have pipe thread, as nice as this whole thing is. So O-ring sealed fittings in that aluminum housing. Next up, filter, Wix, part number SF, Sam Frank 10161, or as the box says, a WF10161. I don't know why they have two different numbers, but that's just the way they do it. So why this filter? Well, 3/4 16. The O-ring fits on that mounting block perfectly, and it has a drain on the bottom. So I don't have to change the filter every time or take it on and off. I can open that little drain on the bottom. That's a 13 micron filter, which is sweet for fuel injection. We are running 10 micron before. 13 will do us just fine. Hardly no difference between the two. And that filter is rated at 160 pounds of burst pressure, and on this truck we're running 58 pounds base pressure, and it's on a 1-to-1 ratio with boost. So as the engine comes up on boost, it makes about 6.5 pounds. So then it'll jack it up as we get into the pedal. So underneath the truck, here we go. Our old filter was mounted right up in here. Now you can see it's a little dirty. I've ran probably about 4 tanks through this setup so far, and I wanted to drain it to see how much water we're actually getting. So it's probably going to be a little bit shaky, but I'm going to try to do this all so that you can see it. I don't want anybody to think that anything's being rigged where we're putting water in it. I want you to see the facts, because since I have put this on, the truck has ran amazing. It hasn't been doing any of that skipping and missing like it was. So I know we're on the right track. I really feel like this is doing its job under here, and that thing is tight. Dang, let's see if we can get a little bit of extra rag grip on it. Nope, we're gonna have to have some pliers. Be right back, hang on 1 second. Alright, got some squeezable reinforcements here. Now this is a plastic fitting in the bottom of this filter, so definitely want to take it easy on it. I'm surprised that it's that tight. And there's still pressure in the fuel system, about 52 pounds worth. So I'm going to try to do this without wearing it if possible. I'm going to crack the assembly loose, and I'm going to jam this up here to keep it from spraying until the pressure bleeds off. And then we can see, you know, if we've got some water in it. I think we will, because the truck's been running so good. In my mind, how can it not have water in it? Going from how bad it ran before to how well it's running now, there has to be some in here. I'm trying to do this without getting sprayed in the face. I do have my glasses on, but I still don't want to wear it. There it goes. Pressure's dropping, we'll just let it bleed right on down. Lots of pressure in there. Okay, here's the messy part. All right. Holy crap. Look at that, would you? So there's still pressure in the system. I've just drained that. This is a jelly jar. I believe that's a pint we're dealing with. I took that jar out of the house. Now this is 3 or 4 tankfuls that has been ran through this water separator. And that is unbelievable, the difference. I was not expecting that. I was expecting just to have some down here in the bottom. And as this sets, you will probably see it separate some more, because when it was coming out of there, it's mixed, you know, coming out of that little hole, the pressure is mixing it. And you can see it getting like some real psychedelic wavy looking stuff right here in the middle. That's water separating from gas. Oh my gosh. That's a complete shocker. I was not expecting it to look that different. That's all the proof that I need right there, that that little filter is doing its job. And apparently I need to empty it on a weekly basis. At least, you know, if I drive the truck every day, I need to empty it once a week to try to keep up with all the fuel. So they do make much larger water filter separators, but this is our emergency brake cable here. This is the bottom of the frame. I wanted to keep it tucked up as high as possible. All right, so I'm out from under the truck and I'm just holding this jar up here in the sunlight so that you guys can get an idea of how much water is in it. Now, we've got gasoline, you know, the yellow tinted stuff on the top. Obviously, water is heavier than gas, so it sinks to the bottom. Then there's that weird cloudy area in the middle. That's where it's, you know, actually separating. If I leave this sit, you will see it separate some more and the water level will increase and the gas will decrease in theory. But this just gives you an idea of how much water is in the gas. And I hate it because I know what's going to happen. Eventually, it's going to take its toll on the fuel injectors. You know, the pump and it being in the tank, that's one situation, but I think the injectors would be the first issue because they're not designed to have water going through them. And if there's moisture content in the injectors when I shut the truck off and it's sitting there and say I don't drive the truck for a couple days or something, that water's going to damage that injector, and then we're going to have injectors sticking and it's just going to be a huge problem. But I can't tell you how much better this truck is running since I have put that filter on there. It's unbelievable. I think everyone needs to do it on all their classic vehicles, and a lot of new vehicles should have it too. Somehow new vehicles, you don't notice it as much, but another problem that in my mind with it being that this truck runs on premium gas, when you look around at a gas station, especially with the gas prices that we have nowadays, nobody's buying it. It's the most expensive, but that's what this truck has to have. So if nobody's buying it because it's the most expensive and or because they don't need it, that in theory is going to be the oldest gas at the station, in the tank, in the ground, attracting moisture. There we have the moisture problem. It's obvious. So, you know, I'm not a scientist. I don't have any facts to prove of what happens or what's selling at a gas station. I don't have any of those facts, but I can tell you my personal experience, what's going on with my truck, how it would run so crappy and then eventually it would clear out. You don't know when it was going to do it because that stuff's sloshing around inside the tank. So ultimate solution, put a water separator on the truck. The truck runs amazing now, and you can see how much water I have in that. Like you say, that's, I don't know, 3 or 4 gallons. I haven't kept up. It's 3 or 4 tanks of fuel. So each tank is 20 gallons. So roughly 60-80 gallons of fuel have been ran through that. That's a lot of water for that. I mean, there's supposed to be 0 water in gasoline. None. It's gas. We don't need water in our gas. It comes from ethanol. Ethanol separates from gas. Whenever you pump it, it mixes it back up. When it's in your tank and it's recirculating through the bypass regulator, it's mixing it back up. So it's okay to burn up to 10% ethanol, as they call it. But ethanol attracts moisture. We don't need that crap in our gas. Most likely this truck's getting better fuel mileage now because it's not hopping and skipping trying to burn water and that crappy ethanol content through it. It's got to make a big difference. The truck runs so much better. I do need to check the mileage. I haven't done that yet. The thought never even crossed my mind, but it has to make a difference. So there you have it. There's a simple problem or simple solution to a big problem that I had with this truck. The filter, I want to say they were like 35 bucks for the water separator filter. That Earl's filter mount, it was just over 100 bucks. That's a really nice one. It's billet aluminum. Like I said, it's O-ring sealed. There are cheaper ones that you can get that are aluminum / pot metal that have pipe threads in them. I'm not a fan of it. I wanted the best stuff I could get on the fuel system. I know we're good. We don't have any leaks, no issues. So there you have it. I don't know what else to say. It's pretty frustrating to see that much water in my gas though. You know, when you pay top dollar for this stuff, it should be better quality than that, but it's not. So we just have to deal with it the best we can. So hope y'all learned something. Thanks for watching Junkie with Junior. We will see you next time. All right, sorry for the add-on, but I couldn't end the video off where I thought I was going to end it. So I set this on here while I was talking to y'all, and look at how much more it has separated. So that's actually larger than the fuel filter itself. That fuel filter was almost completely full of water. Now that jar's bigger than the filter, but there's also pressure in the system which was bleeding out. That's why we have so much volume. So I just can't believe the amount of fuel from a couple tanks, or excuse me, the amount of water from a couple tanks of fuel.